Hey, it's Jen from You So Much, and today is Fantasy Friday, and today's quote is, "Beauty begins the moment you decide to be yourself." And that quote is by fashion designer Coco Chanel, who was born as Gabrielle in France in 1883. And when she was only 12 years old, her mom, who was only 31 at the time, passed away. And so her father sent her and her siblings away. Her and her sisters were sent to an orphanage while her brothers were sent to work on a farm. It was at the orphanage where she actually learned how to sew, and then as she got older, she started a singing career. She was a cabaret singer and sang at some of the well-known clubs such as Vichy and Moulins. And that's actually where she got her name, which was originally just a nickname that she got from singing a lot of the songs from Coco Rico. It was at the Moulins where she met a wealthy Duke of Westminster. She lived with him for a few years and enjoyed a whole new wealthy lifestyle that she had never experienced before. But then in 1908, she met the love of her life. His name was Boy Capel, and he greatly influenced her fashion taste. He was also wealthy, an Englishman who she had a long time affair with for 9 years until unfortunately he died. And Boy helped finance her very first store that she opened in Paris. She first started selling hats, which she was always super popular for, but her designs became wildly popular the day that she was feeling cold and decided to take a man's jersey shirt and transfer it into a dress. The casual, understated, elegant look that Coco had was signatured right there and then. And she was really famous for taking women's clothing and making it more comfortable. One of the things that she did is she introduced the pants, and she introduced women's suits and collared shirts, and things that were traditionally only worn by men. Even hats, really, back in the day, were really largely worn by men, not by women. And so she felt really strongly that women should be able to be comfortable while they are also dressed well. She personally hated the corset, wanted to do away with it, and so she introduced all these different styles that were comfortable and also broke the mold. She was also the first major fashion designer that sold perfume in her name. And now every major fashion empire is selling at least 1 scent of perfume as a part of their signature collections. Chanel No. 5 is still the best selling perfume in the world. And funny enough, my first perfume, which they still sell, was Coco by Coco Chanel. And I still love the scent to this day. She had to close down all of her stores during World War II, though, because of the Depression. And shortly after that, she began a long affair with a Nazi officer. And she was criticized heavily for that, as you can imagine, after the war. However, she made a huge comeback afterwards and became one of the most well-known designers in the world, and to this day her empire is still going strong. The last 30 years of her life she actually lived in a hotel, the Hotel Ritz, which is where she passed away in 1971. And before she passed away, there was actually a major Broadway musical made in her name, Coco, that came out a couple years before, starring several famous actors and actresses, and won several Tony Awards. She really came from nothing and became one of the most influential fashion designers ever. And today there are still hundreds of stores around the world in her name, and some of her designs that she made back then are still being worn today. They're just classic designs that everyone still loves. Things like her quilted purse, her two-toned shoes, her classic suit styles. With very little changes, the styles are still popular and worn today on the streets of any major city. There's so much that I love about this quote. It's amazing. So first of all, I love how she talks about being yourself, right? I mean, that is something I hugely believe in, is that being yourself is the moment that you really truly can blossom, right? Be you so much, people. And so it's obvious that I love this quote, but on top of that, I really love how she's saying that you decide to be yourself, right? Because you make this decision to go ahead and accept all the things about yourself that you really want in this world. She really wanted comfortable clothing, and so she created that. The first time that she wore pants, she was criticized widely for it because women just didn't do that then. But she wanted to be comfortable. She wanted to wear them, and she knew she could make them look elegant and classy and still feminine, and that's how she did it. In fact, I love how she just really incorporated masculinity into the femininity. She still was able to keep that classic feminine touch to all the things that she still brought a masculine element to. So for example, her suit jackets were decorated with gold buttons and things to really keep the femininity because back then women just didn't wear suit jackets. Through her ingenuity and wanting to be herself and feel like herself, she created these amazing designs that were embraced and loved by women around the world. And I would even say maybe that it's not even just being yourself, but it's expressing yourself. Express who you are, right? And she did that through her fashion, and I do that through my writing and maybe my dancing. But I encourage you to think about how you can be yourself, how you can express yourself further. And isn't it true that it makes us more beautiful? Isn't it true when you meet somebody and they are just so comfortable in their own bones that it's so appealing to you? It's funny because just this morning I went to go to a coffee shop, one of my favorites, CC's Motorcycle Coffee House. They have the best chai. They've got good coffee too, but their chai is just so good. It's a spicy chai. Anyway, the point is the gal who was serving us coffee, I noticed behind the counter that she had this super short haircut, almost kind of like a man's haircut. Really, it was kind of like a man's crew cut that had this sort of feminine touch to it. Sort of was kind of combed back, and she had these bright blue eyes, and she had this lipstick on, and almost like a feminine-looking leotard on. It really was this amazing blend of feminine masculinity, which I know I've talked about before in this channel. But I love how she was able to make this look totally herself, and she looked so beautiful because you could tell she felt comfortable. She felt comfortable with that haircut, and it was so evident that she was feeling comfortable and feeling naturally herself, and it was just absolutely beautiful. The other thing that I really love about this quote is, to me, I think the ability to be who you are, to be yourself, is really truly understanding your fantasies. Because if you can really understand your fantasies, then it's a true indication of who you are, of who you want to become, of the life that you have the potential of living. And so being able to be yourself kind of is a fantasy. It's a fantasy for a lot of us. In fact, it reminds me a little bit of Jim Carrey. I heard once that he took the role Dumb and Dumber specifically because he wanted people to feel comfortable being themselves. That it's okay to be dumb if you're dumb, right? I think there's this sort of stigma in this society that intelligence is really where it's at, and that's what your true beauty is. But not everyone is born with this amazing intelligence. That might not be their beauty. Beauty might be in their curvy figure, or it might be in their amazing musical talent, or it might be in their ability to write this amazing story, right? We all each have this individual beauty, and we need to tap into who we are, because a lot of us don't feel comfortable to be ourselves, right? We're out there and we're trying to pretend to be this or that so that we can fit in here and fit in there, rather than just allowing yourself to shine through, allowing that beauty in yourself to shine through. And our fantasies can really help us do that. You know, it's funny, one of the things that Coco was also really famous for was the little black dress. She kind of created that as sort of a signature piece for women. And women today, almost every woman, almost every girlfriend I have has a black dress in their closet. And what's kind of neat about a little black dress is that there's so many different variations on a little black dress. It can be ruffly, it can be elegant and simple, it can be really skimpy. There's so many different styles. Each person can wear it individually and wear it and still be themselves in a little black dress. And so I think that really encapsulates what Coco was all about, was being able to find the beauty in yourself, being able to do that and deciding to be yourself, because then that's when your true self shines out. If you guys have any ideas for a future quote for Fantasy Friday, I'd love to hear from you. Leave it in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to write down your fantasies, because words make it real. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.